The women's hockey team is 4-0 on the season after a sweep of number 10 Minnesota Duluth and opens its home season this weekend at LeBron Arena. Badgers host Ohio State for a pair of games on Friday at 7 p.m. and then on Sunday at 1 p.m. Head coach Mark Johnson is here. We'll have some opening comments, then take questions.
Thanks, Brian. I think certainly everybody in our camp is looking forward to Friday night and open up the season at home. Certainly had a successful trip down in Lindenwood, and then this past weekend up in Duluth, which is always a tough place to play. We're able to put together 6 good periods, and as I told the team Friday prior to our game up in Duluth, the object is to try to get better than we were the previous weekend at Lindenwood. Obviously, we had some more players this past weekend than we did down at Lindenwood. And certainly excited about the way we started Friday and then finished Saturday night. So it's a good start, and again, I think everybody, including the players, are looking forward to Friday night and open up the season at home.
Does a sweep in Duluth give you a little more juice because it hasn't happened all that often?
Well, it certainly gives you some confidence, especially for our younger players. It's generally a pretty hostile environment going up there. History tells us a lot of our games have been tight. I think 25 or 28 of the games have gone in overtime over the last 7 or 8 years, and so we knew we were going to get tested more so than we did the previous weekend in Lindenwood. And then, we had 5 players in the lineup this past weekend that we didn't have down in Lindenwood. So I went in there sort of just like open-minded. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. And certainly we came out strong and played well and, earned a real strong victory Friday night. And then again, as a coach early in the season, what are you going to get on the second night? And again, very pleased with a lot of different parts of our game. And again, it's one of those situations where you look at what we did well this past weekend and try to build on it and get ourselves prepared and try to play better this upcoming weekend.
See, Katie Josephs and Carly Sylvester are chipping in early on here. Do you need them to either keep up this pace or continue at some sort of rate where they can help your club be successful?
Well, I think, the deeper you can go, especially with kids scoring goals, certainly the better off you're going to be because, your top players are going to have nights where, things aren't going to go the way they maybe have planned for them to go. And certainly if you have depth in your scoring, and I think with Carly and, their line this past weekend, putting Emily Clark in between them, you watch both games, they did a lot of good things. Emily adds a lot of speed to that line and certainly, scored a couple big goals for us Friday to get us the victory. And having Blair back with Britt and Joseph, who played together most of last year, I think they're comfortable with each other. And the thing about Katie is she's got a big-time shot, and so she needs to get herself in position, and she has. And has been able to score some goals. So I think with any player, if you get off to a good start, the early part of the season, it just gives you that little bit of confidence so the next time you go on the ice, you're a little bit more comfortable.
Past few years, your team's been steady and consistent between the pipes and defensively. Do you feel like this team has more options, more ability to score goals than maybe in the past couple of years, or how did you anticipate it coming into this year since you've only played a few games?
Well, I think, from last year's team to this year, we're probably a little bit deeper. And so we added a couple pieces, and, we had quite a few bodies coming back. And so the pieces we added from a scoring standpoint, adds a little depth, adds a little more chemistry to some lines. It's still early, and so it's work in progress. But, what I've seen the last 2 weekends is very encouraging from the depth standpoint.
Andy?
Mark, you've had some players in the past that had 5 gears that could get after pretty quickly. Does Emily Clark fit in that group, and if so, where?
Well, we're 2 games into her career, and if you would have watched both our games, especially Friday night, she scored a couple great goals, and her asset is going to be her ability to get around the ice. And so if you come out Friday and watch us play, you're going to notice her just because she moves around the ice well. A lot of similarities between some of our former players that have played at a high level. She tracks the puck well. she gets to the puck well, and she's got a good stick. So you put those things together, and then, having play alongside with Carly, who, gives you 100% every shift, and then you put young Ann Pankowski with her, you got the makings of a pretty good line. It's only 2 games, but what we saw this past weekend was something we can certainly build on.
On the subject of former players who were able to put the puck in that, Hilary Knight, one of your former players, recently skated practice with the Anaheim Ducks. Were you surprised by that at all? Did you talk to her at all before she did it, and what was your reaction to it?
No, I think that's been on her bucket list, trying to, find a place on a men's team, and certainly, promoting women's hockey. So to get the chance to go out there. The nice part about Anaheim is you got a few former Badgers that would have been in the locker room, with Danny Heatley, so she would have had something in common with a couple of her teammates for that day. But it's certainly exciting for her. It certainly helps promote women's hockey, and I'm sure it won't be the last time we see her on the ice with the men's team.
Mark, is there one thing when you bring freshmen in here that it's part of your culture that probably takes the longest for them to grasp? Is it the work ethic? Is it the getting around school? What is there one thing that kind of rings true with every one of your freshmen that it takes them a while to figure it out?
I think probably each one might be different from the standpoint that, if they have aspirations of playing at that next level, whether it's with the Canadian national team or the U.S. national team, what that takes. And, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and are you willing to adhere to the process to make those improvements? And so, I look at Carly Sylvester, who came in, 4 years ago, and has looked at that process, and she's done it for 4 years. And, her first year, she had a decent year, but, look what she's done the last 3 years. And it's all because she created these habits over this period of time, and she's done it religiously over her career. And now she's become a real good college hockey player. And I think probably for young players, when they first come into our program, they might have in their minds, I know I have to work hard, but then when they actually see it, and so for our young freshmen, they work out with Carly, or they work out with Blair, or in years past, they've worked out with Decker, or they worked out with Knight, or they worked out with Duggan. I mean, you see front row what it takes to become a better player. Obviously, the school part of it, roommates, that's all part of the process, but that usually they get comfortable within a 2 or 3 week period of time with their surroundings. But I think the process of, if I want to become a better player, what that takes.
Jay.
We look at the schedule. We see Minnesota in 2 weeks. Are your players smarter than that not to look at that?
Well, I see we play Ohio State next. No, I mean, I'm sure they're kids. They look at the schedule. Our big thing is, as coaches now, last week was our 5th week of school. This is our 6th week, so that means our exams, started last week, and they'll continue into this week. So the big thing with a season of our length is to try to stay focused at what's next. Ohio State is next, and that's what we'll focus on. So the coaching staff, as we present what we need to do to prepare ourselves, that's all we're going to be talking about. I'm sure they'll be looking at it, and parents will be coming in and getting ahead of themselves. But as a staff and preparation, it's like, Friday night, and then, figure out what we need to do Saturday to get ready for Sunday.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Mark.